And welcome to Across the Valley. I am your host, Brooke Fernandez. Today we have aspiring and current professional tennis players with us today. I would love to introduce both of you. You're Ariana Tilbury, here locally from Kern County.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And Emma Burgich. Yes, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
Awesome, good. And you are currently on tour, and you've had the highest ranking of 140, which is pretty high ranking. So both of you are professional tennis players, and what I wanted to have you on the show today to talk about is what it's like in your experience, just kind of growing up in tennis and now becoming a professional, but also we have a huge tournament here in town, the Women's Tennis Open, that hasn't been in town for 40 years. Wow. So we have a new tournament coming to town, which is a women's only tournament, which is exciting. You have doubles and singles. And I wanted to just kind of hear your stories and kind of hear what it's like to be kind of out in the world being a professional athlete, you know, as the current times are requiring you're doing other things also with your notoriety, which I would love to hear from you too. So tell us your story, Ariana. So you're from Kern County. How did you get into tennis?
Yes, born and raised. I started playing when I was about 6 or 7. I started at the racket club actually, so it's pretty cool now that we have a tournament there. I started because my sister played there and I wanted to do what she did, and I was so much younger than her. So I started taking lessons with Terry Lynott. Okay. So a long time ago. And then from there, I just really loved it. I kept playing. I played other sports, but tennis kind of stuck with me. And then I got more serious when I was like junior high, high school. And then I went on to play at UC Irvine, Division I, for a Big West Conference. And then from there, I just decided I wanted to keep playing. I loved it. So here I am, just kind of trying to figure it out. And
that's great. It's awesome to have you here in Kern County and be from here and have a local angle to this tennis story. It's really cool. So congratulations on making it into the tournament.
Yes. Yeah, it was awesome. Mark Fredericks gave me a wild card, which was really great, really awesome experience, and I learned a lot so far. Wow. Through this week. So I've met a lot of cool ladies like Emma, and they've showed me the ropes and given me a lot of good advice on where to get started, so that was cool.
That's awesome. We want to hear more about that too, for sure. So Emma, tell us your story. How did you get into tennis?
Yeah, well, so I'm originally from Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's a really small country in Eastern Europe. A lot of people don't even know about it. But now I play under the US flag. Okay. This is the first year that I'm playing under the US flag, so for me it's like, okay, like I'm a true American. Well, no, I still have a really bad accent. So I started playing also when I was 6, 7, but it was different. I come from a world war country.
There was a war in the mid-90s.
Yes, when I was born, the war started in 92, so first 4 years of my life basically lived out of a basement. So didn't even know what was tennis, honestly. My dad was sick, he had cancer, and then I honestly think everything in life happens for a reason, and that was he was in Germany, this lady gave him 2 rackets, he asked me if I wanted to play, fell in love with it. But for me, tennis was my life since I was 7, 8, right? Like I started playing tournaments super young. Because I was from a small city, and sometimes that's also a problem, and that's also for people listening and the parents listening that their kids are playing. You know, my parents didn't know any better because they didn't know about tennis, right?
And it's a small community. There's probably not that many people play, or access to professional instruction, things like that. It's a little limited.
But my coach at the time was like, "Oh, she's really talented. You need to put her into tournaments." And I actually, when I was 9, I played this tournament in Croatia. I won 2nd place, and me and Ayla Tomljanovic, she's top 50 right now. We got selected and we represented Europe against US. We came for Little Mo.
Nice.
In Austin, Texas.
Is that a juniors tournament? What is?
It's it's the biggest one. They just had it at Palm Beach Gardens. I live in Florida right now. So they had it, there were over 70 countries of the kids playing like that, but they're 10 and under. That's when I played. Okay. So I came, and from that moment, and we won. I came back home to this little country, little city with this huge trophy. And from that moment, tennis was everything I did, and my parents put everything in it, and I, played I started playing professionally pretty young when I was 15.
Wow.
Yeah, so I won my first professional tournament when I was 16. So I was really, that was it. But then injuries started. I was getting offers from colleges. So my parents are like, go to school. You're getting a great opportunity to be in the US, get education. So I went to Baylor in Texas.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Also Division I. Had a really good college career, was top 5 NCAA singles and doubles. I loved college experience.
College is great.
Amazing. You learn so much. And then after that, I played for a year. That's when I got to 140, and I stopped in 2016. Long story, but I was married. With the person I was at the time, he wanted me to stop to have a family, and I did, and had 2 kids. So I'm a mom as well.
Yeah.
I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and all these years I've been coaching. And I loved it, but something inside of me was like, I just missed the competition so much, and I stopped at an early age, and I felt like there's so much more that I can give, right?
Yes.
And I want to reach my full potential.
Yes.
I want to see what it is. So then this year I started playing tournaments again. So I'm playing, but it's tough. We're going to talk about it later. And I gave her some advice also on tournaments, because I basically am starting from zero. Like when I was 15, I'm starting again at 31, right? And it's like, have to do the same things from zero, build your points, build your ranking. And it's a tough journey financially, physically, emotionally. There is so much that goes into it that people don't even realize. You see these professional tennis players who are like, oh my God, that's so cool, right?
They have a whole team behind them. They have a trainer, physio,
mental
coach, a psychologist, and then their family usually is traveling with them as well for support. They have all this infrastructure around them. But that's a very narrow band of people.
Yeah.
You all are what like the typical person on tour is like.
Yes, exactly.
Right, your lifestyle.
Exactly. And you have to, like, at the beginning, you have to travel alone. You have to. She asked me today, what tournaments did I start playing this year? Like, where do you play? Because when you don't have a ranking, when you're starting out, you can't get into tournaments.
Right.
She got a wild card here. Mark gave her because she's a local. That was with me too. I started my first one in Boca, and I got a wild card for qualies. But then I was telling her, then you have to risk it. You have to go to some tournaments. Like if you get in.
Let's take a pause for right now. I'm Brooke Fernandez from across the valley. We have Emma and Ariana here talking about professional tennis. When we come back. And welcome back to Across the Valley. I am your host, Brooke Fernandez. Today we have Ariana Tilbury and Emma Burgich. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Amazing.
Very good. Welcome, both professional tennis players. At maybe different points in your career. You're maybe more kind of starting out now.
Yes.
I wanted to hear, because we were just starting to talk about at the end, like what it's really like on tour. Like how do you build your ranking? How do you get started? What are the steps people have to take? So for example, for you, and you said you learned a lot already just in being in one professional tournament. I'd love to hear from you kind of like what are the tips and tricks that people are telling you to do? How do you kind of make it work? Like what is your, because it's very expensive to travel. And there's these kind of layer of tournaments that most people don't really realize are out there, right? They see the US Open on TV and they see all like Sabalenka, all these professionals with these teams and this entourage, and they think everyone's, once you're a professional tennis player, that's or a professional athlete in general, right? They think that's what it's like. But there's this whole level of almost years. I mean, it probably takes you years to work up to even get into the US Open. So where do you start and how do you start?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, as you said, I'm just kind of starting out with all of that, so it's still new to me. But from everyone that I've gotten advice from this week, they've traveled all over, Tunisia, Turkey, Mexico, everywhere, just to get points. And then from there you can kind of start qualifying, and from there getting into the main draw. Getting a wild card is really helpful. I was able to get one this tournament, as I mentioned. but that doesn't always happen, so you kind of take the risk. So I'm still learning the ropes. It's new for me. I've kind of mostly stayed SoCal area, so I definitely need to start traveling farther. I know people like Emma have gone all over the country, and they've really gathered a lot of points through doing that. So yeah, I'm still learning. It's kind of new, but that's from what I know. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, so I would want to ask one more thing just about like, okay, so let's explain what a qualifier is, because I think a lot of people, because like, for example, like you'll host a tournament and there's like a section that's before it that you have to kind of play and then you get into the draw. And there are other people who have high enough ranking to get into the main draw.
So if your ranking isn't there, like mine wouldn't be there right now, so I would potentially play pre-qualifying or qualifying, which just allows you to work into the tournament essentially. So it might be 2 or 3 rounds and then you get the main draw. So you kind of sign up and you kind of go hoping you get in, and then so it's a risk.
Right, so, it's definitely a risk, especially like you're saying, because it costs money to travel.
Right, a lot of
whether it's like even driving or mostly it's probably flying and hotel and other things too, just like supporting yourself, food, whatever, all the things you have to do when you travel on a trip.
Yes.
You've got to do that, and you got to do it for a couple of days because you have to come in early.
Yeah, you have to commit to it, and you do all the preparations, and then you give it your best, and so it's tough.
Great. And tell me what your experience has been like, Emma, like in terms of like strategy of the qualies, and how do you kind of qualify in, and like where do you pick tournaments that you think you can get points out of, and things like, because the real goal is to get those points on your ranking as you move up, right?
Yeah, so I don't know how much you understand with tennis, but like, so you have US Open, those big tournaments, right? So prize money, it's ridiculous there, right?
Millions of dollars.
Yes, so like the players that just show up there and lose first round main draw, it's like they win $80,000 just to show up for the first round if you lose, right?
Yeah.
But to make it to US Open qualifying, you have to be, the cutoff this year was around 220. So like the lowest ranked girl that got into qualifying was 220 in the world. Okay, so these tournaments that we're playing, the goal of every girl here playing these tournaments is to build your points, build your ranking, so you can get to qualifying of Grand Slams, right? There are a lot of girls here, they're like top 300, they're like between 200 and 300.
That's right there though, that's like right on the
cusp.
edge.
So they're playing now these tournaments to get to the Australian Open qualifying.
Okay,
right.
So is that also a timing thing then too? Because Australia is around Christmas time or
January.
Beginning of January.
Yeah. Okay.
So the next big Grand Slam is Australian Open. So I know that one girl, she's second seed, she just broke into top 300. She's around 280. So she's gonna play now a few tournaments. If she does good, she's gonna make a cutoff for Australian Open.
Wow.
Right? So a lot of players at these tournaments. So this is for people watching, like you come and you see players that are gonna be at the Australian Open. Right? But it starts like this. Okay. It goes, the lowest level is W15. So it means you can win maximum 15 points if you win a tournament. The next one is W35, which is
this one. The Bakersfield Tennis Open is a W35. So you get 35 points
35.
on your
score. So it goes 15, 35, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150, then it's like 250, 500, 1,000, and then Grand Slams.
Okay. Oh wow, that's a big range.
So this is how you start. You start at 15s, 35s, and you're building. Like the more points you collect, the better your ranking is. Then you're getting into bigger tournaments.
Okay.
Right? Then you move on to 75s, then to 100, because you can get into.
Right.
So it's just like, it's a numbers game, right?
Yeah. But you have to play consistently, and you have to play almost every week.
You might get a wild card as you start showing progress.
Yes. But then that was the key thing that you said, consistency. It's the only sport that it's not like we have a season. It's all year round. If you're not playing this week, you're losing an opportunity to make points, because there's a tournament every week that you could play.
And it's somewhere, and so it's a matter of, do I have the money to get myself over there
and
get
usually
into it.
These tournaments in the US are very, very strong, right? So like girls in qualies are really strong. They're like either college players or young players, or they're just trying, but they're good players. The level of tennis is really high. That's why a lot of players go to other countries
to make points there.
But for that you need money.
Right? International plane tickets more expensive than a ticket to Phoenix, for example.
And for example, another thing in the US, like here I'm in housing, and shout out to Amy and Jeff. They're awesome people. They're housing me this week, so that cuts so much expense for me.
Right.
The food, the housing, everything, right? But now I'm going to Mexico next week. The flight, the hotel, the million things, right? It's gonna add up, but it's a good opportunity for points.
Right. So you kind of have to make that trade-off. Like what you said earlier was it's all kind of strategy around like which tournaments do I select?
Right.
How do I kind of, like you're saying, like you kind of need to think about like, is this an opportunity to get points? Even though it's a little further and maybe more expensive, I have a higher chance of getting points.
Worth the risk,
Worth the risk. So we're going to take a break there. We're going to come back and talk about other ways that you're building your notoriety and how other ways you're actually supporting yourself, because it's tough to be on the road 52 weeks out of the year. So when we come back, I'm Brooke Fernandez with Across the Valley. And welcome back to Across the Valley. I am your host, Brooke Fernandez. Today we are talking with aspiring professional tennis player Ariana Tilbury from Kern County here, a local favorite, and Emma Burgich, originally from Bosnia, but now playing under the U.S. flag, but also living in Florida. So, I was so excited to have both of you on the show today because I think your lifestyle and your drive is very commendable. It's very hard to be in professional sports at this level because it's so much work to work your way up, right? You see these people on the TV and it looks so easy. I mean, that's a lifestyle. They're on private jet. I mean, Sabalenka's on a private jet all the time, you know. That's not the average person. The average professional athlete has to work their way up for points every single tournament. It's like every week in, week out. And you made a good point. Tennis is unique in that it's year round. There's no break. I think there's maybe a 2-week break at Christmas, maybe,
but not really. We could still play tournaments.
Probably a Christmas special somewhere, I'm sure. So how does it work now? So trying to kind of support yourself. Most people think, oh well, you're a pro, you can give lessons. So is that what you're working on? Is doing some lessons and things like that? Or coaching?
Locally I'll give some like tennis lessons and also pickleball lessons.
Pickleball
is like a new thing now. Everybody loves it. So that that helps a little bit, but as I start to travel more, I won't be able to do that as much, so I'll have to think of some way to supplement. So that'll be tough. Especially like when you don't have sponsors or other support.
And you have to get your ranking up so you can get access to sponsors.
Exactly. So it's like a circle.
Virtuous cycle. You have to spiral it up. So. But Emma, tell us kind of how you've done that. You kind of, this is your kind of second go at it almost. So tell us kind of what you thought about.
I think this is my third go now, because before college and after, and now after kids.
Okay, so 3.
So, and this is the final one. This is it. This is all in right now. So I am very outgoing and social, and as you can see, I like to talk a lot. So I was like, how can I utilize that, right? So I started my social media, my YouTube channel, Tennis with Emma, with 1 M.
Oh, 1 M.
Okay. And then Instagram, also Tennis with Emma. So Instagram and YouTube mostly. So what I'm doing now is, since I started playing tournaments, since I started training, I'm documenting, I'm doing vlogs, right? So showing behind the scenes of what it takes to be a professional tennis player, right? Like, because like you said, people don't know. People see that the glory, right? But they don't see what it actually takes. So I'm trying to document that, get sponsors like that. Thankfully, I have for equipment, I have Technifiber. Thank you to Technifiber. There, I get all the rackets, all the strings, grips, everything. And then the brand that's been with me since day one, it's Lucky Love.
Wow.
Okay.
Great.
And I can talk about this now because in a month or so, a little over a month, I'm gonna have my own collection with them.
Wow.
Which I'm super excited. It's a big deal for me. First time that I designed something, and it's gonna be just to inspire other women mostly, because it's a ladies brand, and kids, little girls, to go for their dreams. It's never too late to go for your dreams. So I'm
that.
really like no matter what's going on in your life, no matter where you are in your life, never tell anybody that you can't do something, right? If you set your mind to it, you can really do it. So now, like with my story, I'm trying to show that, but I'm also trying to show the hard work and how it is. So with the sponsors, I'm good with that, but I'm trying to grow more, connect with more brands, just so I can support my journey. And I also have 2 kids, right? That I am splitting them with their dad. So we're like, I have to provide everything 50% for them, right? So I have to pay for their daycare, pay for their activities, for their food, for everything. For me, it's more than tennis. You know, it's I'm a mom. I need to provide for my kids. That's number 1 for me, right?
Yeah.
So I need to find ways how to make money. When I'm home, I do teach lessons, but now I'm gone for 5 weeks. So when I'm on the road, I'm constantly doing videos, constantly editing, constantly doing something with my socials and thankfully the channel has been growing, and whoever is watching this, please, like, every like, share, subscription means a lot on my journey. Every support means so much. And to me, since I got here, actually this was the first tournament that I came to, and the Pro-Am, the first night that we had a Pro-Am, I had 5 people come up to me and like, I'm following your journey. And I was like, so happy. I mean, I'm in Bakersfield, California. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's like,
a small market.
it's a small yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, like my work is paying off.
Yes.
You know, and
Yes.
it's so nice to see. And I'm just trying to spread more awareness. And then obviously, yes, I am trying to make money because I have to, right?
Yeah.
It's, I have to figure it out because I cannot do this. I want to give myself at least 2 years to try, and then but if I don't get enough funds, I won't be able to do it.
Well, there's only a narrow, like we were just talking about, there's a narrow kind of window where you can be a professional athlete because you only have your youth, you know, especially a sport like tennis where it's hard on your body.
Yes,
there are other sports, maybe like curling, you can do it when you're in your 50s.
That's true.
That's a good one.
You know, they eat McDonald's.
Or pickleball.
That's true. Pickleball.
I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
I'm sorry.
Hey,
she got to do it.
That's right. She's leveraging
You gotta do what you gotta do.
what's available, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, if pickleball's the thing, let's teach pickleball.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's easier.
It's easier.
Maybe you have a future on the professional pickleball.
Maybe, yeah.
That could.
Because they have
That's true.
tournaments for pickleball.
And they
they're
actually make quite a lot of
paying
money.
so much more.
They are.
For
wow.
pickleball,
Yeah.
you even have a salary to play. Yearly.
Wow.
That is true. I heard that.
Yes, they give you a
that is
salary.
true.
Then plus you get from the tournaments. I'm like, why they don't do that for tennis?
It's
Wow.
actually that is true.
So I might be in a year. I might be
maybe
playing
we'll-
pickleball
Maybe
too.
they'll be in a pickleball tournament next. Great.
hilarious.
But this is very interesting to kind of hear your stories and to also hear kind of what you're doing to increase your earning potential and also like making a go of it. It's a lot of different things. It's not just the tennis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone love to think about it like that, and on Instagram it looks like that with the other pros, but it's not.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it.
Yeah.
So thank you both for coming and sharing your journey with us, and we're so excited to have you at the WTO downtown at the Racket Club, and we hopefully we'll see you guys back next time you're in town. So
Yeah.
it was great to meet you both, and we will we'll end the segment there. So when you come back, come visit us and talk to us about your life. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
I'm Brooke from across the valley. I'm your host. Thank you.
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.